One of the best ways to learn the jazz language is to transcribe solos from your favorite musicians and dissect the material to reveal all the secrets and mysteries behind the notes. And even better, isolate some of the phrases that you are extra fond of and move them around in all keys. What you heard in the beginning there was a phrase that I moved through the changes of the B section of Cherokee. And of course it doesn't sound completely organic to use the same phrase over and over like that, but it's good practice. That particular phrase isn't from any specific musician or recording, but one that you hear all the time played in different versions. It's very basic, only diatonic notes, no funny stuff, but it sounds great and is a good phrase to start with. I think it works best if you have a 2 minor to a 5 dominant 7 that may or may not resolve into the 1 major 7. For instance, G minor 7 to C7 to maybe F major 7. And it's not a phrase that is clearly G minor 7 in one bar and then C7 in the next bar, you know, like. But it goes back and forth a bit between G minor 7 and C7, which is often the case in jazz phrases. You could also use it if the chords are changing faster. Maybe you have 2 beats of G minor 7 and then 2 beats of C7, and when you end up on the F major 7, the phrase isn't done yet. So you are kind of delaying the F major 7 with 2 beats, and I think that sounds cool. Also not at all unusual in jazz. So I suggest when you get started on transposing and moving around phrases like this, find the lower but still comfortable register of your instrument. Let's go with D for now. Now we're going to play a minor scale upwards. First, the first 5 notes. Then we will add the 7 and the 6th. And the 6th is a major 6th, the Dorian 6th. And when you have gotten this far, I think it's easier to switch over to the dominant chord. So instead of thinking of the B in this case as the 6th of the minor chord, think of it as the 3rd of the dominant chord. I think it's easier thinking that way. You can at least try it. The next note is the first step of the dominant chord. And when we have gotten this far, we have played all the notes in the phrase. We will just repeat some of them. So now we will return to the minor chord and play 5, 3, 2, 1. And after that, only one note left, the first step again of the dominant chord. So when you've played the phrase in this key for a while and you feel fairly comfortable, move the phrase 1/2 step up. So E flat minor. And take your time, it's no rush. Maybe you can transpose it in 3 or maybe only 2 or 1 keys. And that's okay, you can continue on your next practice session. You can also mix in other aspects like tonguing. You know, be creative and have fun. So move up all the way to your higher comfortable register, and then you start to descend in half steps. And the progression of moving downwards in half steps is sometimes used in jazz standards as well, so very useful. Then I suggest moving the phrase in whole steps. And again, when you are descending, also very useful in many jazz tunes. A third way to move around the chords is the circle of fourths. So you either move the phrase up a fourth or down a fifth, depending on which register you want to play the next phrase. So in the case with this phrase, it means that you will start the next phrase on the same note that you ended the last phrase on, either in the same octave or one octave down. Sometimes it could be helpful to cut this phrase into half if you have very rapid chord changes. And I mean, this is easy for you because you have already practiced the whole phrase. So let's play just the 7 first notes. And again, this is more useful when you descend. That progression can actually be used just the way it is in a solo. Sounds pretty cool. Now, the idea with practicing phrases like this is that you kind of practice them in isolation. And then when it's time to improvise live, you forget everything you've practiced and you just try to play what you hear in your mind. And maybe this phrase will show up, maybe not, maybe only fragments of it. So I really encourage you to memorize the phrases as soon as possible. That way you will be much more free to move it around in the different keys. But if you feel that you need more structured visual help, I have a PDF available for purchase, super cheap, with this phrase written out in all keys and all of these progressions that I have shown in this video. Link in the description. Okay, so even though the point isn't to just insert phrases like this in your solos, it is a good exercise just for practice to do that now and then. So in the beginning you heard the B section of Cherokee. Let's try out Have You Met Miss Jones? So if you have any questions or maybe tips for your fellow bone players, leave them in the comment section. Happy practicing and I'll see you next time.